Today we will be showing you one of the new and best sports magazines, with many different interesting and thought-provoking stories contained within. This magazine is known as the Sportsman Illustrated, written by Mitchell, Connor, Olivia, and myself. For the extremely low price of just over $1 a month, or $20 a year, our readers will have the opportunity to keep up to date with many different polarizing issues and stories that will make readers want to read more. A subscription to the Sportsman Illustrated will introduce valuable opinions on topics and give readers the sports knowledge they need to be well educated on any given sports topic. The reason that we publish the Sportsman Illustrated is to keep our valued readers up to date on any issues or controversies in the sports world, as well as stories about players and teams. One of our goals is to provide our readers with the information and stories that they need to be able to have educated conversations with their friends and family members about sports, and to simply have a good time while reading our magazine. We don't write these stories to be straight, boring information, but we rather write them to be thought-provoking and to allow our readers to formulate their own opinions on the subjects we write about. We are giving our readers our opinions and our views, but also giving them the information necessary to think on their own. The other goal of our magazine is to give our readers information on the latest and highest quality products on the market. Our writers research the best products out there to help our readers have the best equipment in their given sports, whether it be volleyball, football, hockey, baseball, or any major sport you can think of. We make sure that the products described in our magazine are durable, high quality, and that they will get the job done for our readers. We research and test products ranging from basketball shoes all the way into the hunting side of things, like camo jackets and rifle scopes. However, with all of these goals in mind, the biggest goal for our magazine is to make sure that all of the information and products contained within our articles is 100% factual and reliable, and that our magazine will be able to educate our future readers the right way, without all of the manipulation you see in other magazines. Us writers for the Sportsman Illustrated care about our fans and our readers, and we show our appreciation through the dedication to the articles that we provide in our magazine. At the end of the day, we aren't making the magazines for us, but rather making them for a dedicated audience. These goals are really what make our magazine one of the best on the market. And for such a low price of just over $1 a month, not getting a subscription to the Sportsman Illustrated would not be in your best interest whatsoever.
Sportsman Illustrated is not your typical sports magazine. It is a magazine that covers things from basketball all the way to hunting, and everything in between. It is a magazine for the true sports fans in this world that care about all sports. We keep you up to date on the hottest topics from the sportsman world. Along with that, we cover the controversial topics, not just the latest updates. We cover the things that are not talked about in most magazines. Things such as how women's professional basketball players are underpaid, how cougar hunting in Oregon with dogs should be legal, and how transgender athletes should not be competing with women. These are just a few examples of how diverse our magazine really is. We try to find ways to keep every sportsman interested. And for those who love all sports, this is your all-in-one magazine. In order to get all this information otherwise, you'd have to buy multiple magazine subscriptions. And even if you get multiple magazines, the stories we cover may not be included in them. This is because we cover the sides of topics that most magazine writers try to avoid. They avoid these topics to stay away from offending people. But we know people need to know all the facts in these situations. That is why we pull our facts straight from the source. Sources like the Oregon Department of Forestry, and from articles that do not have an opinion. This way we know we get straight facts and not just someone's opinion. Our advertisements are specifically meant for what we cover in our magazine. We don't just take advertisements from anyone. They have to be interesting to someone that might only specifically like sports-related things, nothing else. Because that is what we cover, sports-related things. No one wants to see a makeup ad while reading about the recent passing of the great Kobe Bryant. What the people reading this want to see is a supplement they could buy to up their performance on the trails and the court. So while we keep it diverse in sports, we keep our magazine sports related. That is it.
Our magazine provides the most interesting stories and news, as well as the most durable gear and equipment. By buying the Sportsman's Illustrated, you can keep up with all the latest gear and information in the sports world. However, by buying a subscription, you would be constantly informed with the most current sports events. That includes all sports. because writers at the Sportsman's Illustrated, Ben, Connor, Mitchell, and myself all take major pride in contributing to a variety of sports and showing support to both men's and women's leagues. We have found that the more we show appreciation for both leagues, the more responsive the readers are to our magazine. From this response, we have decided to continue to provide updates in the future on both men's and women's activities, and advertise for both men's and women's gear. Many magazines fail to include this information on women's gear, and it results in women struggling to find a place where their gear may be available. We wanted women to have a magazine where they can subscribe to and know that they will be included with all the latest gear and equipment, which is why we plan to provide those types of advertisements in the future. We also aim to include the less common sports in the future. We understand that some of the uncommon sports like hunting and fishing can often be forgotten in some of the bigger named magazines. However, one of our main goals is to encourage our readers to become more aware of those less popular sports. We want to help our readers to do so in forthcoming issues of the Sportsman's Illustrated by continuing to write articles and advertisements that include information about less common sports. Having this variety of sports fans read our magazine is another long-term goal of ours. Whether it be the NFL, MLB, WNBA, MLF, NHL, and any other sports leagues, we want our readers to have a collection of material to read. We believe that if you buy a subscription to the Sportsman's Illustrated for only $20 a year, you will have a variety of credible information about the sports world and top-of-the-line equipment and gear advertised for both men and women.
Each copy of the Sportsman Illustrated is full of hand-picked stories for the nation's biggest sports fans. The Sportsman Illustrated brings readers never-before-seen facts along with articles that help show readers the truth in sports. We ensure that each of our stories are about the latest news in the sports world. We have some of the world's best investigators and writers, along with our thousands of connections throughout sports that help us get the newest and most truthful facts for our loyal readers. For instance, in this copy of Sportsman Illustrated, we discuss the topic of the Astros sign stealing scandal, which is potentially one of the biggest scandals in sports history. Our fantastic writer spent countless hours investigating this scandal to give our readers the most accurate and in-depth understanding of this scandal. Along with the Astros scandal, we discuss the loss of one of the greatest and most influential athletes known to man, Kobe Bryant. While this is one of our harder to read articles due to us all mourning the loss of the great Kobe Bryant, we discuss the greatness of him and his legacy, while also discussing the impact he had on people's lives. The Sportsman Illustrated is also not limited to just the major sports topics. We also cover outside sports such as hunting, fishing, and even camping. In this edition of the Sportsman Illustrated, we discuss the controversial topic of cougar hunting with dogs, which has stirred up many conversations in the hunting world. Throughout every copy of the Sportsman Illustrated, there are also advertisements for some of the country's greatest brands. Our company is proud to promote these great brands with some of the best deals. This is because the Sportsman Illustrated is partnered with many of the major brands to help get our readers exclusive deals. In this edition of the Sportsman Illustrated, we feature ads for some of the world's best baseball bats, scopes, supplements, and many other products designed for athletes and sports fans everywhere. I hope after hearing our presentation today, you are intrigued to subscribe to Sportsman Illustrated. We are proud to cover a whole variety of topics and provide a unique and never-before-seen magazine for our readers. With innovative researchers and writers, we provide the most in-depth coverage of sports and sports topics. A subscription to the Sportsman Illustrated will introduce to your valuable opinions on topics and give readers the sports knowledge they need to be well educated on any given sports topic. When you subscribe to the Sportsman Illustrated, you aren't just subscribing to a magazine. You are subscribing to a family, and we hope to welcome you to that family.